Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ben here, and today I'm going to be doing the first part of a 5-part series about the top current NBA players in the NBA by position. And today I'm going to be focusing on the top 10 centers in the league currently and going through who I think are the top 10 guys and how they performed last season and what I think of their games overall and how they measure up in the NBA. So the first guy I have on this list is Andre Drummond. He's a very good player. Gets a little bit forgotten in the shuffle because he plays for Detroit and they haven't really made the playoffs all too often lately. But he is very talented. In this last year, he set a number of career highs. He had a career high in minutes at 34, a career high in rebounds at 16, which led the league as well. He had a career, not a career high in points. He had 15 a game. So he averaged 15 and 16 rebounds and 2 blocks a game. He shot 53% from the field. And what I really noticed when looking at this list and at Andre Drummond in particular is that he started the trend of a lot of these NBA centers who are very athletic and rely on their athletic ability to score on offense, but don't really have much of an offensive repertoire when it comes to just giving them the ball and post and expecting them to perform. They aren't really great at that, and for that reason, I think that Andre Drummond isn't as much as he could be, but if he really worked hard on that post game, he could be a lot more in this league and bump those averages up to about 20 points a game. But because of his bad free throw shooting and shooting in general, he only averages around 15 to 13 points a game in the league right now. So my number 9 player on this list is a guy who has improved immensely over the last year, and that is Clint Capela. So this last season, he averaged 14 points a game, 11 rebounds, and 2 blocks a game, and he shot 65% from the field, which I think is very impressive, and a career high 56% from the free throw line, which is also impressive. Chris Paul, I think, really made him into the second coming of DeAndre Jordan, in that his game is primarily rebound and catch lobs and alley-oops from Chris Paul, which there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, what's wrong with that? There is a chance that he'll get a max offer from a few teams. That may be a little bit far-fetched, but I mean, it could happen. There's a chance of it. You never know what's going to happen. I think he's a good player, but I honestly think he should stay with the Rockets because I think he really fits well with their team, and I don't know how well he would do without a distributor as good as Chris Paul really making him look good. But he's definitely a player on the rise. He's only 24 years old, and I think he has plenty of room to grow and become a much better player in this league. And hopefully with a really good distributor, because I think he'll need that to be his most effective self going forward in the NBA. Moving on to number 8 on this list, I have a guy who is very similar, or very familiar, I should say, with Chris Paul, and that would be DeAndre Jordan. DeAndre is 29 years old. He was an all-star not this past season, but the season before. A few interesting things about him. He's the all-time NBA player with the highest field goal percentage. He is currently sitting at 67% for all shots he's ever taken, which is very impressive. As far as this last season, he averaged 12 points a game along with 15 rebounds and 1 block a game, which is a little bit low for him, but a career high in free throw percentage at 58%, and he shot 65% from the field, which is very good as well. So yeah, DeAndre has really done well, even without Chris Paul, honestly. He still put up around the same numbers that he did with Chris Paul. I think that he is another guy who he benefits from having a really good ball distributor. Having Milos, I don't know. For the love of me, I don't know how to say his last name exactly. Theodosic, I'm pretty sure. Having him really help because his specialty is delivering the ball to people and helping them be better. So having him probably helped quite a bit. And yeah, DeAndre's on the decline though, so it'll be interesting to see how his offensive game continues, or if it's at its peak right now and he'll start to decline once his athleticism starts to fall off. But those are all things that we'll just have to wait and see about. But right now, he's really good probably about the best rebounder in the NBA. I like him quite a bit. I think that he really would be best so to go with a team with a good point guard. There's a lot of rumors of him going to the Mavericks right now. I don't know about that fit exactly. He really needs a good point guard to be effective, but we will again just have to wait and see where he goes and if he continues to be the force that he's been in the past couple of years. So the next guy I have on this list is a guy that a lot of people maybe have forgotten about or something along those lines, but it is Dwight Howard. Yes, you're saying, what? Dwight Howard's even still playing in the league? Well, the answer to that question is yes. Dwight is still playing in the league, and last year he put up one of his best seasons in recent memory, actually. So let's see, how old was he this last year? 32 years old. He was an all-star snub, in my opinion, and he put up 17 points a game, 13 rebounds, 2 blocks on 56% shooting, and he played all but one game during the regular season. Dwight's sort of another example, like the best example of a guy who really only depended on his athleticism when he was young and never really cared to learn the offensive moves down low, like a low post game. Excuse me. But he really has still found a way to be effective in the league. He went from averaging around 20 points when he was young. Now he's more in the 15 range. This last year he had a few more, but I don't know why that was. I mean, he was getting the ball a little bit more in Charlotte. Maybe some of the pressure was off of him and he didn't feel like he needed to do as well because he wasn't on a playoff contender. But yeah, I think that he is still a really effective guy. And age has slowed him down a bit, but not completely. And I don't think that he's by any means done contributing to really good teams in this league, and he can still be an effective contributor no matter where he goes, whether it be the Warriors or the Mavericks or some other team. I think he still has a lot to give to the NBA. All right, so moving on from Dwight, the next guy on my list, let's see here, what number am I at? 6. Would be Rudy Gobert. This last season, he had a really good season. He won Defensive Player of the Year. He put up 14 points a game, 11 rebounds with 2 blocks a game. Career high in field goal or free throw percentage at 68. He shot 62% from the field, which is pretty good. Rudy Gobert, a defensive monster. The Jazz's record with him was amazing. I think they were 27-9 once he came back from being injured for a lot of the year. Made the playoffs as the 4 seed, got to the second round, got a game on the Rockets. I don't know what more you can really ask for. He's another guy where he doesn't have the low post moves, though. If he could develop those, like a lot of these guys on this list, he could be really good. I think what I'm noticing as I go along in this video is that a major problem with all these centers is that they only focus on rebounding and athleticism, and there's not enough of a focus on a low post game because the NBA has gone so much more towards getting points in the paint or 3-pointers, and that's all people care about. But, if these guys focus just a little bit more on back-to-the-basket basketball, they could be a lot more valuable and be able to put up a lot more points a game. And eventually that would help them in the long run because they'd be able to get bigger contracts, etc. So. But Rudy Gobert, another guy who is great on defense and rebounding, but really could stand to improve his offensive game a little bit. So the next guy I have on this list is Al Horford, who is, again, a really good player. Obviously, all the guys on this list are. And let's see here. This last year, I think he was around 33 years old, if I'm correct. He's 32. And this last year in Boston, he put up 13 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists a game, along with 1 block, 1 steal a game. Shot 49% from the field, 43% from 3, which is really good. 78% from the line. So Al Horford is one of the first guys I've talked about who actually has a ranged game and low post moves. He actually acts as a pseudo point guard for the Celtics. As you can tell, the 5 assists is pretty high for a center. They run a lot of high post offense through him at the top of the key, where someone dribbles it down, gets it to him at the top of the key, and he helps distribute the ball. Let's see here. Yeah, he's really good on defense. Gets 1 steal and a block a game, which is pretty good for a guy that's not huge. He's pretty quick, obviously, to get a steal a game. And the block, that's what he averages about every year, about 1 block. And the 43% from 3 is great because it just helps stretch out the team and it really helps everybody, and that creates a lot of floor space. But he does have some low post moves. If you need that in a pinch, he can do that for you. So yeah, I really like Al Horford a lot, and I think he's one of the key cogs for Boston to continue being successful overall. All right, coming in at number 4 here, I am going with Nikola Jokic, who I think is a very forgotten guy because of where he plays in Denver. And, they weren't in the playoffs this last year, so not a lot of people talked about him. But I think Jokic, he's the better version of Arvydas Sabonis, if you know of Arvydas from the 90s. Or another reference would be sort of like a better version of Mark or Pau Gasol. Probably more like Marc Gasol because of the distribution. Again, in the Al Horford vein as well, a center who can distribute the ball. His averages last year were 19 points a game, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal a game, 1 block a game, shot 40% from 3, shot 85% from the free throw line, and 50% from the field, so very good averages there. Again, similar to Horford in a lot of ways, but just a little bit better as far as he has more of a post game than Horford. He can bang in the post a little bit more athletic, I'd honestly say. But yeah, they do the same sort of thing where they run a lot of high post offense through him at the top of the key, where someone will dribble it down, get it to him at the top of the key, and he'll run the offense actually. That's why the 6 assists is so high. Again, his 3-point percentage really helps him spread the floor, and the free throw percentage being so high is really good too, because then he's not a liability at the end of games. If they're going to do a hack-a strategy, they can keep him on the floor because he's so reliable at the free throw line, which is awesome in today's NBA. He's just a really well-rounded player, and I really look forward to his future in Denver. He just signed an extension with them, which I'm excited about, and I look forward to seeing what they do in Denver in the future. Maybe with Michael Porter Jr. too. We'll have to see. The next guy on this list is a guy who, in his albeit brief career, has never missed a regular season NBA game, and at number 3, that would be KarlAnthony Towns. His averages for this last year were 21 points a game, 12 rebounds, 1 steal a game, 1 block a game. He shot 55% from the field, 42% from 3, and 86% from the free throw line. Again, we're getting in these top tier guys, and the reason they're higher up and they can average more points is honestly because they're good shooters. And unlike the first couple guys, they're athletic too, but they rely on more than just their athleticism to succeed in the NBA. Towns is an example of that. He's athletic and he can play in the post and all that, but he can also step outside and take a 3 if you need him to, which honestly the Timberwolves do because they need as much spacing help as they can get. But that's really a good part of his game, that he can do all that stuff. I like him better than Jokic just because I feel like he's a little bit bigger, and although he can't distribute the ball like Jokic, I feel like if I was going to pick, we just need a guy who we can rely on, just this game he needs to carry us. I feel like Towns could do that more. He could have the potential to throw up a 35-point night. I feel like Jokic's cap is going to be around 22 points a game, but I'm not saying Cat can average 35 points. I'm just saying on a given night, I feel like he could easily go for 35, whereas I feel like the highest I could ever see Jokic going for is around 25 to 30. But I see a really bright future for Cat. He's only 21 or 22. He's 22 years old. By the time he's 26, I could see him averaging 28 and 14 a game. I don't think that'd be super shocking. So yeah, that's what I think of Cat. And so now I'm going to move on to number 2, which is a guy who actually has had a really weird season, but is still an amazing player to me. He is 27 years old and coming off a big injury, but I think will still have the mojo, and that is DeMarcus Cousins. So this last year before the injury, in 48 games, DeMarcus Cousins averaged 25 points a game, along with 13 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals a game, 2 blocks a game. Shot 47% from the field and 35% from 3, 75% from the line. Again, a guy who can stretch it out. You know, he didn't start his career that way, but he's improved and developed a lot, and now it's become more of a part of his game. He shoots a bit too many threes, in all honesty, for me. I think if he shot around 39 or higher, he could shoot more threes, but because it's only 35%, I think he should limit them a little bit. I'll be really interested to see where he goes in the offseason. Some rumors going around, or maybe the Wizards are interested in him, or the Mavericks. In all honesty, if the Lakers miss out on these big guys that they're going after, they should definitely think of DeMarcus Cousins, because I think that he would be a great addition to the team and really help them out a lot. And I like him a lot, and I think that he's got a very quirky personality and attitude about the game, but that he is very effective on the court. And with the right coach and mix of players, which I think he honestly has in New Orleans, he could be very effective. I'd like to see him re-sign there, but if he doesn't, oh well. But yeah, he also has a distribution that not a lot of people know about him. 5 assists was his career high this year, but he's had another season where he had just about 5, and then 4, and another season with 4. It's something that he's really developed lately, though, which I think is impressive. And if he continues to develop that, he will be a very good not only scorer and rebounder, but a guy who can initiate offense, which is, I think, what a team always wants. And so moving on to my number 1 guy, I think that not many people will be surprised, but I have as my number 1 Joel Embiid. So in this last year, he averaged 23 points a game, 11 rebounds a game, 3 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks, 48% from the field, only 31% from 3, which is down quite a bit from the year before, but still decent. There's not. A lot of people know a lot of stuff about Joel, but I love this guy. I think that he is the next Shaq, except Shaq with a jumper. And is there much more else to say? He's Shaq with a jump shot. I mean, that's all you really got to say, I think, honestly. He's not as forceful as Shaq, as in he's not like 330 like Shaq was, but he's like Orlando. If you look at Orlando Magic Shaq and look at that guy's film, and then add a 3-point shot to that guy, the Orlando Shaq, then you've got Joel Embiid, which is an amazing player. If he ever gets off of his minutes restriction too, he only was allowed to play 30 a game this year and 25 last year. If he's allowed to play like 38 minutes a game going next year going forward, he could average more like 26, 27, I think. But even as it is, he's a really good player. Maybe he should work on his outside game a little bit more, just because he dropped off from 37% from 3 last year down to 31. He might want to improve that. But from the field, he actually did shoot better, and he improved his rebounds a lot and his assists too. So there you have, guys. Those are my top 10 current NBA centers. If you disagree with anything in my list, let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you tune in next time when I cover NBA power forwards in the NBA right now. Alright guys, thanks. Bye.